Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast here from the Propaganda Ministry here in Denmark with me, Imperial Dane, Master of Propaganda, Hero of the Reich, Defender of the Fatherland, and my goodness, I've got another 2 versus 2 for you, and of course a great big welcome to all of my new viewers. I've gotten quite a few since the lovely chaps at Relic, including Thunder and Noun, in particular those chaps, since they're the ones doing all of the community bits, decided to announce and advertise me on rather all of their small little channels wherever they could mention me, which is bloody great. So of course a big thanks to them and a big welcome to all of you. Thanks for subscribing, and of course for those who aren't subscribing, I do hope you subscribe, and of course I do hope you find my casts entertaining. I do them daily, and in fact I even do them sometimes 2 times a day when I get, for example, 100 subscribers a day. Usually just as sort of an incentive to keep things going and a bit more exciting, you know. And in fact, looks like I'll already have to do a second cast this day, so stay tuned later as well. But for now, we'll be having a 2 versus 2. This is, well, and with the second cast today, going to be a bit of a shorter one. It's going to not be a bad one, though. It's some rather useful chaps. It's Aireloaded and Charger Reloaded, 2 rather solid chaps from the Reloaded clan. Certainly know their stuff, and opposing them shall be ASIISky, BlackTiger, and ASIISky. I do believe that's another clan, so again I'm rather suspecting some competent people, although then again that all rather also come down to sort of strategy and tactics and sort of what things they go for and in what manner. And of course let us not forget rails and metals. An interesting map as well, rather divided through by the rail lines. We sort of have 2 sections of the map rather existing on either side. Some open territory, some not closed off, although the important features are including this building. This building is probably one of the most important buildings in this map, if not any map, since you rarely have a building that can control 2 victory points and numerous other points so flawlessly. Which of course also means that most of the fighting will be around this half to sort of try and keep it less dominant, and of course keep it in your own hands so you can put an MG in it and keep the other buggers suppressed. Of course it doesn't quite always work out as that, but that of course is another matter. There's of course also sort of building here which can kind of achieve the same, but not quite yet at the same time, plus it's not quite structurally sound. As you might have noticed right down there, the health part, that means it's going to fall apart pretty quickly. But of course we are seeing the British right down here, 7th Armoured Division with a small combat attachment from the 24th Infantry Division of the Americans for some reason, and fighting them of course we will be seeing the Panzer Lehr, I suspect. So let us get right down to it, no mucking about, right to the fight. And we are seeing a 2nd Infantry section coming out from Aireloaded right away. That's quite interesting. Usually you don't see that, but I'm not going to knock it like that though. So not a bad idea, and of course it could be he's rather anticipating a bit more of a heavy fight, and of course infantry rather helps with that. And what does Charger Reloaded? He's also going for infantry, that is, we're going to be seeing a rather aggressive, rather solid approach from either player. None of them shall be going for support, which is rather one thing I never really like. Support is nice, but you generally always should have some infantry on the field first. 2 is the absolute minimum. 3 is a decent good minimum, I'd say. And we are seeing some pioneers out from BlackTiger, where Sky is going about with his Panzer grenades, Kettenkraut heading straight for the fuel, and then using the Panzer grenades to sort of hook it up. So we are already going to be seeing something a bit more armored for those chaps, I suspect. Although again that will depend. 2nd Infantry section popping out, and of course note, they do get a bit more hesitant, a bit more reluctant as soon as they leave friendly territory and there's not an officer to keep them in line. That was rather actually how the British operated a bit. They weren't quite keen on that whole getting shot up business. And it looks like we are going to be seeing a slightly more supportive aspect from BlackTiger. Not entirely sure I'm keen on that, as I usually point out. I mean, I generally prefer an infantry approach, and while it can work, though, it requires quite a lot of skill, quite a lot of tactics and cooperation, because otherwise you're going to get picked apart, in particular against 2 players who are both going for infantry, going for the aggressive, the more solid approach, the more mobile approach. And there we go, machine gun trying to set up, but it's caught off guard, and that's my steam, don't mind that. There we go, caught off guard because there's no infantry for it to keep behind and support, and that's rather the important thing about heavy machine guns. They are support units, they are not combat units. Very important bit to know. They have a setup time and they have a rather limited arc of fire, which rather means you need to keep them behind infantry. Troll was He didn't, but now there we go. Panzer Grenadiers tracked as an infantry screen. MG42 able to set it up. But again, he probably shouldn't have been sending in first place, and it could easily have ended up a lot worse. Can't know that the Wehrmacht forces are pinning down the British right here. Lieutenant nearby to provide a steady hand and a bit of reassurance, while the Americans are quite boldly pushing through here and harassing the fuel. Good show there by Charger Reloaded, quite aggressive already. And again, we're sort of seeing the division right here, what it looks like. Yes, indeed, further support units and a bunker, that is. And of course, this is what some players are doing in these cases. Let the Panzer Grenadiers do all the fighting. Let the Wehrmacht do all of the support. But again, it's not something that necessarily is going to work, because again, you're going to be facing off against 2 infantry players. And in this case, of course, they can't just try to outflank you. And it looks like Aireloaded, being the clever chap he is doing that. Plus, he's getting a mortar. So things are looking a bit bad. And it looks like BlackTiger is trying to support his Panzer Grenadier friend, who is facing off against the Americans and getting hit from numerous sides as Americans sneak in. And a Kettenkrad on the move. Could be it's wanting to push about those riflemen a bit, making it a bit harder for them to focus. Engineers getting focused down. That's a good choice in those cases of fight, you know. Stick on one target, quickly get them leveled down. And of course, cover is a vital thing as well in company of heroes. Do not stand about in the open when your opponent is in light cover. That generally tends to be a recipe for a lot of dead men, as you might have noticed there. And the heavy machine gun turns things about, but at the same time, as you might have noticed, he's had to utterly abandon the eastern flank, which is rather allowing Aireloaded to charge through quite viciously and brusquely. So of course, again, that's sort of the problem with this sort of division. If one has infantry, one has support, you can't really establish a sort of solid defensive line, and you can't really keep up any pressure yourself, and that's rather what's turning against them. A second MG42 so far. No Volksgrenadiers, no anything. Just MG42s and a sniper. Riflemen getting suppressed, engineers getting suppressed, Panzer Grenadiers advancing, sniper opening up on the riflemen, getting them killed. It looks like they at least are focusing heavily on the west, at least sort of sticking together, although there we go. Aireloaded using the sort of open terrain here to conduct a flank with his reconnaissance section on the MG42. Quite unfortunate for the forces of the Wehrmacht. And the MG42 taking quite a bit of a beating. And some riflemen were cut down right there. Quite unfortunate. Mine hit. That was quite a bit unfortunate for them. Another MG42, that's the same one. My apologies. Bunker still there, not doing anything. I mean, I suppose with a lot of Panzer Grenadiers, it wouldn't have been a bad idea for BlackTiger to have gotten a medic bunker. That way, he could have gotten some of the wounded out of Sky's Panzer Grenadiers and perhaps reformed some Grenadier teams on his own. And now he's sending an MG42 on his own, again unsupported. Bad move, in particular when you're not sure what's there, in particular when there's a mortar, coincidentally. And now the MG42 is in there and getting absolutely hammered by the Britons. MG42 needs to get away most quickly, post haste. Sniper still round there. Mortar rounds flying. Pioneers dying. Yes, indeed. And the Panzer Grenadiers are not sure. It looks like they will have to react again to another American push. Charge Reloaded now going for the BAR, Browning Automatic Rifle, World War I era battle rifle. Although it served quite nicely as a light machine gun and sort of an assault rifle as well, I suppose. Panzer Grenadiers advancing now. They're the one though out in the open against flamethrowers. Although in flamethrowers, that's actually a good thing. But against automatic weapons, the last place you want to be is out in the open. There we go. Heavy losses for the Panzer Grenadiers. The BARs are simply too much for them, and they are forced into a rather full retreat. Sniper, oh dear. 2 snipers, BlackTiger. My goodness, you need to watch my channel a bit more and learn that you don't want to go for that heavy of a support module, I suppose. And numerous snipers like that. And there we go again. Aireloaded supporting and getting a sniper. That's 340 manpower down the drain. Anything else from BlackTiger? Perhaps a creek bags. And there we go, getting the creek bags. Bloody well hope he's getting some grenadiers. But rather, as a matter of notice, things are not looking good for the ASIIky clan. Looks like an armored car is on the way from Sky. The Panzer Lehr clearly not as Panzer Lehr as it could be. At this stage could have been some fresh replacements, but the Panzer Lehr was a division composed of veteran instructors and otherwise elite troops from training divisions. Was an idea by Heinz Guderian as far as I'm aware. Or at least he takes credit for it, so I mean, go figure. First fought in Italy by Anzio, alongside the Hermann Göring Voltium Panzer Division. And there we go, lots of automatic weapons. Again, attacking across open ground is sort of the thing you want to avoid. Cover is vital in company fields, in particular when your opponent has a lot of light machine guns. MG42 again, not combat units, don't want them standing about in the open. And you want some bloody infantry to support them. Repair bunker for BlackTiger. Yo, not good BlackTiger, not good at all. Americans and British pushing through here, although catching some of the riflemen out in the open with the armored cars on the Fahrzeug, and the riflemen are getting absolutely slaughtered, murdered, and apparently 2 of them make it out of there, quite fortunate for them. And looks like BlackTiger is trying to do a bit of work right here, but of course the mortar is going to make that a lot harder, because it can just bombard the pioneers while they're doing their work. And Kettenkrad gets sticky bombed and lost. A bit too bold there by Sky. British moving back here to deal with these pioneers. Then looks like the first grenadier team has finally arrived from BlackTiger, his first infantry team, 8 minutes into the game. That's not good at all. Looks like the Wehrmacht, or the Panzer Lehr forces are pushing through here in the west. Of course, the Wehrmacht was sort of the entire name for all the German armed forces, actually, so my apologies, I'm sort of switching to that at times. I can imagine if it's a bit confusing, but I do that from time to time. I'll try not to, but it may slip from occasionally. Panzer Grenadier Sniper and MG42 marching forwards under the banners of the fatherland. The initiative is ours. Mortars continue to fire away, doing a bit of nasty work there, and the bunker being much too close right there again. A rule of thumb when dealing with bunkers and placing them generally is, and that's particularly applicable to medic bunkers though, is you generally want them to sort of be close to the front line, but at the same time you don't want them for your opponent to be easily to see them, and of course easily approach them, otherwise they'll easily get knocked out. For example, by artillery, an idea for example is placing them right behind buildings. That way, for example, in case of howitzers, the building will absorb most of the fire. Otherwise, bocage or other things where the opponent has to sort of move in, where you perhaps also can get a bit more of a defensive advantage, is rather the way you want your medic bunkers, medic tents, casualty clearing stations to sort of lie about. Although most British players lay their casualty clearing station close to their headquarters, so they can use it as a healing post, but it can also pick up the wounded and reform teams, so keep that in mind. Actually, let's go a brief look at Charge Reloaded, who has gone for infantry company, and looks like a Stuart light tank is my throat seems to be a bit rusty. Stuart light tank advancing for King George, opening up with its tiny 37mm gun, forcing away the Panzer Grenadier. In the meanwhile, others are moving in, and looks like the Grenadiers have been equipped with a Panzer Schreck. My goodness! Hang on. And back to the action. My apologies for that. That was my mother calling. And the Allies are pushing through in the west, rather looking a bit dicey here in the center. Armored cars and Panzer Grenadiers, not the sort of thing you want in a stand-up fight. A half-track now advancing as well. Panzer Grenadiers taking quite a bit of losses, and rifle grenades, one of the rather nasty things to subject infantry to, and mortar rounds, of course. Full retreat, not looking good at all. Lack of anti-tank assets, except a Panzer Schreck. My goodness, again a rule of thumb always ought to be have a bit of anti-tank yourself. Even in 2 versus 2s where your opponent might have, your ally might have some, always have some. A Pack 38 is preferably, or for the Panzer Lehr, an anti-tank half-track, or perhaps a man of 3, but currently, as you might have noticed, all they have is a single Panzer Schreck against that Stuart light tank. That's not going to work. And with that tiny Stuart light tank, the Allies are able to push through here. But let's go and look at BlackTiger. What is he up to? No packs, no anything. Wait, there we go. No, we don't.
Sniper König ready.
What is he up to? Wait, there we go. A Pack 30 is on the way, and he's getting another bunker. Oh, dearie me. MG32 trying to set up. Pack 38 advancing. And setting up. Opening up on the British troops rather than the tank. Not quite fortunate. And it keeps on missing. My goodness, where did they learn to shoot? Stuttgart? Well, I don't know if Stuttgart has any sort of poor connotations with anti-tank or marksmanship, and artillery right on the pack, and it advances straight into it. Ow! Dear! And oh dear, my voice. Not looking good at all for the brave chaps of the Panzer Lehr. Certainly not their best fight, and rather a poor strategic decision, I rather feel like, in terms of how to fight this. The Pak-38 is, well, not anything really now except a piece of blackened scrap.
Supply lines are broken. We have territory cut off from supply.
Trying to repair the bunker. Pioneers equipped with a Bren gun. I think that would have been better for the Grenadiers. We're trying to reinforce another Pak-38 to replace the one lost. Not really looking good for them at all. A mortar half-track. Still not a single anti-tank asset from Sky. All it takes is one Stuart light tank to knock that all out. One anti-tank gun. And looks like Aireloaded has been using all the nice advantages he's been having to get an armored command truck. Really push it against the Wehrmacht. And infantry team cut down by the armored cars. A small victory. But for how long, I can't say. And this Commonwealth tank is certainly going to put a stop to that. And I do believe it's actually time for the mid-game analysis. And those that don't know, the mid-game analysis is sort of a quick thing where I look at sort of what the situation is and what could either side sort of do to try and either retain the good situation for them, or perhaps for those that are doing not quite so well to perhaps sort of break through to sort of give ideas to players. And that's the basic gist of it. I'm not entirely sure if it ever worked, but there we go. Currently, the Allies are pretty much holding the advantage. They've got tanks of all sorts, anti-tank guns, lots of infantry, lots of firepower, whereas the Wehrmacht and Panzer Lehr, rather due to their unfortunate tendency of being, well, rather late in getting some infantry for one side, and for the other side getting some actual anti-tank assets, are rather, well, pinned in at a rather small territory, constantly getting slaughtered. And again, the lack of infantry from BlackTiger has rather put him in a nasty situation, also again because he's been relying on support units. And as you might have noticed, without infantry to protect those, he's loaded quite a few MG42s and the sniper and the Pak-38. Not really doing well for him at all. And the Allies, on the other hand, have been pretty much having a nice easy time. Mortar emplacements, casually clearing stations, Stuarts, and now a Commonwealth tank. And there's only a Pak-38 and a Panzer truck to stop that, if it's even able to stop that. And I'm quite frankly not entirely sure they can actually salvage themselves from this. I mean, they're rather unfortunate tend to get enough support, and then not really being able to support is rather what's giving them, put them at a severe disadvantage. But we'll have to see. But I don't really think there's much they can do. The acute lack of infantry and the acute manpower losses for BlackTiger is rather what's dragging this whole thing down from the Panzer Lehr, I feel. And of course the rather heavy reliance on only being able to deal with infantry by Sky and nothing to really deal with armor. That's generally something, again, you want to avoid. You generally want always to have some sort of anti-tank asset, because you cannot count on your teammate to be everywhere, and particularly if not if you're the Panzer Lehr, in which case you're relying on speed and firepower. And sadly, a Pak-38 is not known as being the speediest weapon in the entire bloody Wehrmacht. Cromwell now advancing, and we're seeing a poor Kettenkraut facing off against that cruiser tank. Looks like, though, that it will make it away. And looks like the Grenadiers have some luck to catching an anti-tank gun out in the open. And Sniper knocks it out. They could recruit it, I suppose. No, that would mean the loss of entire Grenadier team. Never mind. Another Pak-38. American engineers pushing forwards with flamethrowers. A few Panzer Grenadiers trying to keep them away. Mortar team could be doing something from that half-track. And not looking good at all. Looks like they're in fact getting surrounded right there in the center. A bit of a noose slowly tightening around their throats. Captain making a dash forward as Grenadiers far away from the old empty barn. Running, and he makes it away. And meanwhile, Rifle Grenadiers are forced into retreat by the armored cars, trying their best to sort of act as a fire brigade. And the Pioneers need to be careful. Very low health, and they're the ones with the Bren guns. Artillery going right down here, but looks like the Wehrmacht forces have been able to evacuate the position before the artillery hits them right in their faces. Anti-tank are now getting the drop on those armored cars. Not much luck there for the Wehrmacht, and looks like a Panzer support command is up. Yes, indeed. And another Pak-38. He's got 3 Pak-38s. And he's gone defensive. I mean, defensive is a nice thing if you're holding a lot of territory, but you're not sure if you can hold it. On the other hand, if you're on the back foot, things are looking really bad, and you really need to take some territory. You really don't want to go defensive. You really want blitzkrieg or terror, something that can actually push you forwards, move you forwards. And there we go. Grenadier team lost to the artillery. Rather suspecting, yes, indeed, a 25-pounder. On-map artillery really blowing those grenadiers to hell. And perhaps a bit deeper than that. And yes, indeed, I am aware this is another match on rails and metals, but I thought it might provide a bit of a different perspective this time from the Allies as being slightly more proper. And looks like Charger Reloaded has also been laying down tank traps here to actually prevent from an armor charge right through here. Good show, actually, although, mind you, wooden fences aren't the best method for stopping tanks either, so we'd also need something there, otherwise they're basically just going to crash through there. Just a quick note. I know it might come as a shock for some people, but wooden fences aren't impregnable defenses. And Pack 38 blasting away, forcing the Stuart and Cromwell away. Lots of Pack 38 trying to cover everything. Half-track still surprisingly enough around. And the Panzer Support Command is flashing, and a logistic company going up. What's he wanting from there? I don't know. But the light anti-tank half-track is ready. Kampfkraft Center going up, and support veterancy. Mind you, Pack 38s get vehicle veterancy. They need vehicle veterancy. You don't get them better with support veterancy. And rather his... Wait a minute. And we're back. This time it wasn't someone calling, it's just Fraps sometime likes to drop the frame rate for no apparent reason. I fear Allies are pressing through. Desperate attempt to hold the center with a lot of light vehicles, not the sort of thing you actually want to hold the front line with, since they're rather against sort of speed, firepower, not holding the line, and sort of being the target for tanks. Another nasty business, a Cromwell command tank up, and I rather suspect that means a Firefly soon. Engineers advancing, armored cars opening up to support that Pack 38 at the front. Artillery going down, and looks like this, yes, Pack 38 under fire. Not looking good at all for the Panzer Lehr. And the sniper pops into the half-track in a desperate attempt to get away safely. A rifleman clearing out the Pack 38. And a sticky bomb on the Pack 38. Actually, interestingly enough, you can do that, but you generally don't gain much from it, actually. So that's actually a bit of a waste on this. It's very, very, very damaged. Panzer Grenadiers advancing. Rather solid grasp of the Allies pretty much everywhere. The Axis not really able to mount the sufficient forces to really break through anywhere. And a creeping barrage, my goodness. Quite explosive, yes indeed. It's actually quite rare you see this in a game. And it looks like the Pack 38 absolutely dodges that. Quite fortunate. And there we go, Firefly tank ready. German tank equipped with the 17-pounder gun. The Brits were quite fond of equipping everything they could with the 17-pounder gun. And now the Pack 38 trying to fire, but it's simply getting outflanked. Too much armor, too much speed. And this is not looking good at all. Looks like another Pack 38 is going to be lost to the Britons. Another one trying to flank in. Armored cars also doing something. I'm not entirely sure what they're actually hoping to achieve. And looks like the Cromwell command tank could be lost. Grenadiers with no panzer. And there we go. Cromwell tank knocked out. It is no more. Brewed up. Looks like that command tank could go away as well. Yes, indeed. Main gun destroyed. Out of control. Tiny victory there for the Panzer Lehr.
They defended the fatherland until death.
And artillery right on that other anti-tank gun, completely wiping it out. And this one could do with some repairs now. And a scout car is up, securing munitions, or at least trying to. And again, I rather feel that BlackTiger could have been much better served with a medic bunker. At this stage, and probably a lot earlier. Could have gotten a lot more infantry and a lot more oomph. And looks like this armored car is getting subjected to quite a fusillade from the anti-tank guns. Another bunker going up, half-track sort of looking a bit dinged up. And the Americans are pushing forwards now with Rangers in support. And this mortar half-track is rather exposed. Knocked out, flanked again. Rather aggressive behavior from the British, from the Americans. And the lack of infantry basically from BlackTiger and Sky to actually react to this. Grenadiers getting gunned down. Rangers having submachine guns as well, quite increasing the firepower by quite a bit that is close up. Heavy losses everywhere as infantry is either getting shredded by automatic fire, snipers, or basically just artillery. Quite explosive, quite lethal. Sky having gone for scorched earth again, nothing that really helps pushing the assault. Quite unfortunate on all sides. And I think there's a bit of quiet at the moment. Now a half-track gets right in the line of fire and knocked out by bazookas. Yes, indeed. While the bazooka might have had trouble with German tank, they certainly did not have problem with German light vehicles and half-tracks. And more getting knocked out by artillery, apparently trying to set up a flak 38. But no such luck. The pioneers doing the job got killed by artillery, and now the British are bunching up right there. Fortunately, there's actually nothing to really stop them from doing that at this stage. And looks like the remains of the German light vehicles are trying their best to hold off the enemy. But they're simply just getting picked off one by one. Panzer grenadiers getting slaughtered by a canister shot. Anti-tank half-deck knocked out as it knocks out the Stuart. Artillery clearing out the anti-tank guns. Quite a solid advance right there from Aireloaded. And there's pretty much nothing that can actually stop it. Scout car also not going to last long. And there we go. GG from Aireloaded, GG from BlackTiger. Sky. Nothing from Charger, it seems. Oh wait, there we go. A G and a G.
NCOs reporting they have destroyed a German target.
So there we go. An absolute disaster for the Panzer Lehr. And yes, quite a short game. But again, there's going to be a much longer one later today. So I figure that's going to be alright. And again, I sort of figure this might sort of be a good way to sort of get newer people acquainted. And again, sort of get in some more basic gestures quickly. Certainly had some nice things. And of course, what can we learn from this? Well, again, be careful with going in the support approach in 2 versus 2s. I know it's sort of alluring, it's sort of attractive, it's sort of, well then I don't have to do so much, I don't have to be aggressive, I can just be supportive and sort of be, you know, the hidden hero. And no, you're not. You're going to have to be careful because again, if your opponents aren't going for dual infantry, they can really get quite a lot of aggression, they can really find the holes in your defense and flank you, and that's rather what happened rather quickly. Because there was no infantry to really provide any stoppage, and that also meant that Mr. Sky really had to do most of the work. He constantly had to rush his infantry here and there, and so wasn't really able to provide any sort of aggressive pushes either. That was one of the major problems. The other one was a lack of anti-tank assets, and that's rather what they ought to have expected as well. Because there's a British and he's on the fuel point, and that's pretty much a big sign saying I'm going to get armor, try and stop me. So there you go, and quite a few medic stations right there as well, really trying their best to get in the wounded as well, and that's rather one thing I also would like to see from BlackTiger. I mean, his teammate had a lot of Panzer Grenadiers, why not get a medic bunker to sort of capitalize on that and get back those wounded and convert them into Grenadiers? Again, keep such things in mind. So there you go, hope you enjoyed this match. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own? I always do my best to sort of look them through. I can't give any guarantees. I will cast them though. Again, it's sort of a lot of games, some useful for some things, others not so much, but there you go. Such is life. But again, I hope you enjoyed it and tell your friends. Cheers.